Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I pray that this broadcast finds you well, safe, and blessed. How was your Easter? And more importantly, what was your experience taking communion? Pretty different, right? And I guess the question I want to ask you is, how many of you guys were like this when it came to time to taking and doing this? And I don't know what type of content you prepared for your communion, but I had fruit punch, and I had grilled and sauteed some tortillas with garlic. And I tell you what, it was a lot better than the wafer in this cup. But my point in saying that is God wasn't necessarily concerned about the content by which you took communion, more so than He's concerned about the content of your heart when you take communion, which really brings me back to my point today regarding relationship versus religion. And I know there's some that argue that, well, it's both. Well, not necessarily. It's God is more acutely focused on our relationship with Him. He doesn't expect us to learn verbatim the first 5 books of the OT. I mean, even the devil can quote scripture better than most preachers. You see, religion can easily get messy and confusing, more so convoluting. In addition to the most popular religions, there are hundreds of new or mainstream religions. When you add in the multiple denominations within Christianity, it's easy to get overwhelmed and see how the whole idea of religion loses its significance and focus. The Message Bible's spin on Galatians chapter 2, verse 20 supports this concept effortlessly. Eugene Peterson eloquently said, "What actually took place is this. I tried keeping rules and working my head off to please God, and it didn't work. So I quit being a lawman so that I could be God's man. Christ's life showed me how and enabled me to do it. I have been crucified with Christ. My ego is no longer central. That's not the center. It is no longer important that I appear righteous before you or have your good opinion. And I'm no longer driven to impress God. Christ lives in me. The life you see me living is not mine, but it is lived by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave Himself for me." I'm not going to go back on that. It is not clear to you that to go back to that old rule-keeping, peer-pleasing religion would be an abandonment of everything personal and free in my relationship with God. I refuse to do that, to reject God's grace. If a living relationship with God could come by rule keeping, then Christ died unnecessarily. So the real question is, why would anyone in their right mind repudiate the grace of God? I, for one, certainly don't want to frustrate the grace of God, because if righteousness is attainable by the law, then Christ have died in vain. Here's a couple things to consider to those that are vacillating regarding religion, relationship. It doesn't make you holy nor better than any other person if you and it should never place or never be placed above God, more or less God's people. In closing, too many people lose sight of a relationship with Jesus because they become fixated on religion. Often these are misguided attempts to find their worth and gain an understanding of what a true relationship with Christ is all about. Again, I ask you, were you like this because you had to do this by yourself or with your family? Just know this. God is looking at the content of this. And that's the most important thing. So yes, it's not about religion. It's about relationship. I pray that this encourages someone today that's been fencing. Get off the fence. Jump on the other side. Take the high road, not the low road. And at the end of the day, you'll see God's grace flourish in your life. As I always say, your greatest blessing is always in front of you, never behind you. So continue moving forward and be blessed in your relationship with Christ.